Did you have $200,000 stashed away? Well, I went ahead and used that cash to snag a nice house.
One day, my mother-in-law confessed to buying a house without my consent. When my anger exploded, I discussed the matter with my husband, and he took my mother-in-law's side, saying,
Well, just let Mom do her thing. Forget about the $200,000.
There's no way I can forgive this. I vowed to take revenge on both of them. My name is Sheetal. I married Adrian 5 years ago, who works at the same food company as me. We are both so busy with work that we can't find much time for each other. Nevertheless, we get along well and spend quality time together when we can. However, I don't have a good relationship with my mill. It all started when I visited my in-laws to introduce myself before our wedding.
Of course, you'll become a housewife to Adrian and the family once you're married, right?
Well, I actually want to continue working even after we're married. Adrian said it's okay for me to keep working.
Normally, a wife is supposed to support her husband at home. That's what I did when I married my late husband.
The idea that the wife should become a housewife and leave the earnings to the husband after marriage is outdated, right? I thought so internally, but I couldn't say that to my mother-in-law, so all I could do was smile awkwardly and try to deflect the conversation.
Are you sure Adrian agrees with you working? He comes home tired from work every day, and if you're not at home, it'll increase his burden, won't it?
That's your perspective, right? I'm okay with it. Let Sheetal do what she wants.
My husband said that and managed to calm my mill down, so we left there without any further unpleasantness. Thank you for today. If you hadn't stopped your mother, she might have said more unpleasant things.
Well, my dad passed away, and she raised me on her own for a long time. She must have been worried about a lot of things. Don't worry too much.
He stood up for me and cared about me. I'm lucky to be able to marry such a wonderful person. On our way back to our apartment, I secretly felt happy. We lived happily as a couple for 5 years. But one day, my husband came to me with a proposal that he wanted my mill to live with us.
You know, we're both often away from home because of work, and I thought maybe my mom could live with us in this apartment.
Honestly, I don't like that idea.
I see. Sorry for bringing it up out of nowhere. Forget about it.
Obviously, I couldn't agree to it so suddenly. My husband backed down easily, and I was relieved that we wouldn't be living together. 1 week had passed after my husband asked me to live with my mother-in-law. On that day, I came home from work around 9 p.m., exhausted. I'm so tired. Well, I guess I should make dinner. As I mumbled to myself at the front door while trying to unlock it, I noticed that the door was already unlocked. I thought my husband had come home earlier today. He usually lets me know when he's leaving work early, but he must have forgotten to mention it today. Without thinking too much about the unlocked door, I opened the door. I'm back.
Oh, you finally came home.
Oh, what a surprise to see you here. Where's Adrian?
Adrian hasn't come home yet. He gave me a spare key, so I let myself in.
What does that mean? That he gave the spare key to my mill? I never heard anything about that. I was taken aback by my mill's sudden appearance and stood there in shock.
Don't just stand there. Can you make dinner? I've been waiting for you to come home.
Haven't you had dinner yet?
No, I haven't.
It's quite audacious to barge into someone's house and expect to have dinner, isn't it? I thought so, but I couldn't just dismiss my mother-in-law rudely. Oh, I see. All right, I can only make simple dishes. Is that okay? Are there less food? I don't remember using that much. It seems like there's less in the fridge compared to when I checked it yesterday.
Simple dishes are fine, but make it quick. I'm starving.
Sure thing. I'll whip something up right away. So, I hurriedly prepared dinner and served it to my mother-in-law.
Thank you. Let's eat.
After taking a sip of the soup I made, my mother commented,
What's this? It tastes terrible.
What did she just say? She definitely said that the soup I made was terrible.
I said it tastes terrible. Didn't you hear that?
I was right. I didn't mishear it.
You can only make this kind of food because you're always busy with work. Why don't you quit your job and focus on the family?
But Adrian says he enjoys my cooking.
That's just flattery, isn't it? Can't you tell?
Clearly, my mother-in-law doesn't like the fact that I continue to work even after marriage. For the next hour or so, she continued to make snide remarks at me.
Well, I'll be coming over more often from now on. Make sure to take care of the house properly.
My mother-in-law left my apartment with a satisfied expression after venting her complaints. 30 minutes later, my husband came home. Hey, did you give mother-in-law a spare key?
Yeah, I did. Why?
I was so surprised when she was suddenly here today, and she even criticized my cooking after I fed her.
Well, what's the big deal? Sometimes things like that happen.
What kind of response is that? She just suddenly showed up and insulted the food I made. And you're telling me to endure it. It's your fault for giving her a spare key in the first place. When I said that, my husband got angry and argued back.
Why didn't you just say you wanted to live with her from the beginning? I'm tired, so I'm going to bed. No need for dinner.
It's my fault. You were the one who said you understood back then. With just one word from my husband, whom I thought was on my side, my heart felt like it was breaking. The next day, and the day after that.
The room is a mess, and you haven't cleaned properly, have you? The laundry is so wrinkled. It's embarrassing.
My mother-in-law came to our apartment every day to complain and then left. If that was all, I might have been able to endure it. But 1 week after my mother-in-law started intruding into our home, I noticed something strange. Looks like we're running out of groceries again, so as backup detergent. Our apartment and her apartment are within a 10-minute walk of each other, and it's clearly strange that groceries and daily necessities are disappearing day by day. I don't want to suspect her, but she must be coming in without permission and taking things away. You haven't been taking groceries or daily necessities from here, have you? One day, I finally mustered the courage to ask when my mill came over. I hope it's just a misunderstanding on my part. I had hoped for that, but...
Oh, you already found out, huh?
My mother-in-law casually confessed to taking things. I'd rather you not take things without permission. Those are our everyday items and groceries.
They're my sins anyway. So what's the big deal if I take a few things? You're hardly ever home because of work, so it's a shame to let ingredients go to waste.
How can she act so shamelessly without a hint of remorse? Of course, this is where my husband and I live, so it may make some sense that things belong to her son, but
Oh, that reminds me, while we're on this topic. You had $200,000 in savings, right? I used that money to buy a new house.
what? What is going on?
You don't have to play dumb. You were hoarding money in your bank account, right? I was surprised when I checked your bank book. There was quite a sum in there.
I have no idea what she's talking about. She used $200,000 of my savings to buy a house without asking for permission. And without anyone's consent. But you can't withdraw the money with just the bank book, right? Do you know the PIN?
You had the PIN code for the bank book written on a note, didn't you?
Oh no. I didn't expect anyone to look at my bank book, so I let my guard down. I had indeed left a memo with a PIN to remember it.
I wanted to live in a better house. It was perfect.
She left while laughing loudly. I can forgive this. Using someone else's money like that. I told my husband about what my mother-in-law did, but all he just told me to let her do as she pleases and to forget about the $200,000. Just letting her use such a huge amount of money without permission. This mother and son, something needs to be done. At that point, I had already had enough of my husband. Even though she was already doing whatever she pleased, I couldn't take it anymore. I decided to take revenge on both of them. The next day, I invited my mother-in-law to our apartment and decided to ask her again if she had really bought a house. To gather solid evidence, I secretly activated the voice recorder on my phone before talking to her. You said you used $200,000 from my bank account to buy a new house. Is that true?
Yes, it's true. I've even paid the down payment, and they've already started construction. After all, I have your bank book. It's as good as bought.
But having just the bank book isn't enough, is it? How are you planning to withdraw the money? In response to my question, my mother-in-law smirked and showed me a name seal.
How you ask? I have this name seal.
You took the name seal without permission. Mother-in-law, do you realize that's theft?
Call it whatever you want. I didn't know someone who never does any housework could save up this much money. You can be a bit useful.
I've had enough. I'll give you the bank book. Thank you for coming today. I wanted to grab her and take back what she stole with my anger, but I held back and let her leave. I managed to obtain evidence that my mother-in-law took the bank book and name seal from my apartment. Mother-in-law, enjoy your happiness while it lasts. The next day, I called her to our apartment to retrieve the bank book. Hello. I'm willing to give you that bank book, but it seems that you need to go through an identity verification process to withdraw money. I'll go and withdraw it on your behalf, so can I keep the bank book and seal?
Oh my, I didn't know that. Well then, I'll bring those to you right away. Thank you.
I told her over the phone, but of course, there's no way I was going to withdraw $200,000. Besides, in this day and age, there's no way you can withdraw such a large sum of money without proper identification, right? How foolish can she be? She seems to care only about immediate money and doesn't think for a second that what she did was a crime. With the bank book and name seal retrieved from my mill, I immediately headed to the police.
What's going on? Is it some kind of incident?
Yes, it is. My mother-in-law took my bank book and name seal without permission and tried to purchase a new house.
Huh? You weren't the one buying it.
No, it's not me. My bank book and personal seal were stolen. I want to file a police report. The police listened to my story seriously and accepted the report, looking concerned. Later that night, when my husband came home, I told him that I had filed a police report. Your mother took my bank book and name seal without permission and tried to buy a house. I reported it to the police. She might get arrested soon.
What? Why would my mom get arrested?
Why, you ask? Don't you understand? What your mom did is a serious crime.
Even so, there's no need to go to the police.
Even if I tell you, you just want me to let her do as she pleases, right? Why should I have to give that old hag a large sum of money?
Why are you calling her an old hag in front of me?
So, if they're your in-laws, does that mean they can do whatever they want? Should I just be quiet if they come to kill me? I won't stand for it. I didn't save up all this money just to hand it over to her. She is a damn old hag.
That's enough.
After hearing my words, he went into his room. He returned to the living room a while later and handed me the divorce paper.
You're the last person I expected to say something like that. Sign this.
I didn't expect him to carry it around. Well, if he's going to be like that, there's no helping it. I had already lost patience with him. Is this a threat? I'll sign it, so hand it over. My husband seemed a bit surprised that I agreed to sign it so easily. After finishing signing the paper, I showed it to my husband. There you go. Is this what you wanted?
Yo.
Then I'll file for divorce. He probably didn't want to see me anymore after that conversation. After that, my husband hurriedly left our apartment, even though it was late at night. He most likely went to his mother's place. About 20 minutes later, my phone rang. Hello. What can I help you with? It was my husband who had called.
I told my mom that you filed a police report.
Yeah, so?
Could you please withdraw the report?
What? No way? Withdraw it? Is he saying she's sorry? There's no way I'm doing that. Even if she pretends to be sorry, I won't forgive her. As I was thinking that, I received another phone call from my husband. What? I didn't really want to talk anymore, and I was about to go to sleep.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean any harm.
The person on the other end of the call was not my husband, but my mother-in-law. She apologized while crying, but did she really think that would make everything okay? Crying and apologizing won't make me forgive you. And saying you didn't mean any harm, that's quite a stretch. Stealing my bank book alone would have been bad enough, but taking my personal seal too.
Well, I wanted a house. I've been living in the apartment all this time.
So, just because of that, you thought it was okay to use someone else's money without permission. You're a real jerk, you know? Why should I have to give you money for such a stupid reason? I just can't wrap my head around it. In that case, why didn't you ask your son for help?
He doesn't have money.
Right? I know that. Even though we both work, I've been managing the household finances.
So when I saw that there were $200,000 in your bank account, I couldn't resist the temptation.
I see. But you understand that it's not something that can be resolved with just an apology, right? You can reflect on it in prison. That money is what I've been working hard to save since before I married your son. I can't forgive you just because you had a moment of madness. I was about to hang up the phone, but my milk continued to cling. Wait a minute. I have a favor to ask. At a time like this, you're asking for a favor? That's quite audacious of you. I mentioned that I paid a down payment, right? Yeah, you did. So what?
I already used $80,000 that I had saved for years as a down payment, and I can't stop the construction now. So, could you please lend me $200,000? I promise I'll pay it back.
How crazy are you? I won't lend you money. A person who steals not only my bank book, but also groceries and daily necessities isn't someone I trust to repay.
Well, then what should I do?
I don't know anything about that. You should figure it out yourself.
I can't possibly get a mortgage at my age.
It's your fault. This is what happens when you rely on other people's money. You should have asked your son to take out a loan for you, right? I couldn't help but imagine her in a panic, and it made me chuckle. I felt like hanging up already, when suddenly, my husband interrupted and tried to continue the conversation.
Hey, please, are you just going to abandon my mother? You've received help from her too, right? Don't you think you should repay her a little? I'm not asking for the full amount, just help us out.
Repay her? Why? She came over every day just to make sarcastic comments, and didn't even help with household chores, even though she had a spare key. What do I have to repay her for? When I retorted to my husband, he fell silent and didn't say anything more. Oh, he probably said it in desperation. Did he think that appealing to my emotions would get us some help? Well, that's how it is. I won't help you in any way. Good luck.
Wait, we'll find a way to deal with my mom, and we won't cause trouble for you, so please, can you reconsider the divorce?
Too late for that now. Your mother is more important to you than me, right? You never really supported me anyway.
I'm really sorry about that. From now on, I'll cherish you too, Sheetal.
You don't have to cherish me anymore. I'll be a complete stranger tomorrow, and you can happily live with your beloved mother. I said that to my husband and hung up the phone. I thought it would be a hassle if he called again, so I turned off my cell phone and went to sleep. It seemed that my husband didn't come back that night. They're probably consoling each other. The next morning, I took a day off from work and went to the city office to file for divorce. From now on, I'll be a complete stranger to Adrian. Of course, I don't care what happens to his mother anymore. For the next 3 days until I left the apartment, he didn't have a proper conversation with me. And of course, I didn't initiate any conversation either. For now, I plan to stay at my parents' place. It's an hour's commute from work, but it's doable. As I was leaving the apartment I had lived in until now, Adrian offered a word of apology, but I chose to ignore it and walked away without a word. It's quite an abrupt ending to what was supposed to be a love story before we got married. But strangely, I didn't feel sad at all. In fact, I felt relieved to be free from this messed up family. There's no way I could forgive them, no matter what they say. It's because he's been ignoring my own problems and always defending his mother that things turned out this way. If back then, he had been seriously angry with my ex-mother-in-law for stealing the bank book and buying a house, I might have respected him a bit. Both my ex-husband and his mother underestimated me. But I don't intend to just take it lying down. They're in for a hellish life of loan repayments now, so they better work their butts off like crazy. Since that's what his mother wants. they can manage that much. They both brought this on themselves. Serve them right, I thought, as I drove toward my parents' house. A week later, I received a call from the police saying they had arrested my ex-mother-in-law on suspicion of theft. Apparently, the fact that we weren't living together was the key factor in her arrest.
If you had been living with your Mel, we might not have been able to arrest her, as it could have fallen under a relative theft case.
I see. I'm glad you arrested her. I expressed my gratitude to the police and hung up. Hopefully, this arrest will make her reflect on her actions while in prison. Just as I was thinking that, I received a call from my ex-husband.
Hello, my mom got arrested.
I know. I just got a call from the police.
But without my mom here, it's impossible for me to keep paying the mortgage on my own.
So what? Don't tell me you're going to ask me for help again?
Oh, well.
Don't ever call me again. I said that and abruptly ended the call. After that, I blocked his calls and messages to ensure he wouldn't contact me again. 1 month later, I got some news from a coworker.
Cheetle, did you hear? I hope it's not rude to tell you this, but Adrian quit his job.
Adrian and I work at the same company, but I'm an office worker and he works in the field. We rarely see each other, so I had no idea. For some reason, the news of his mother's arrest had spread within the company, and my ex-husband couldn't continue working there. Of course, I didn't spread such rumors. After that, I had no idea what happened to him, but he's probably struggling with loan repayments by now. 3 years later, I got married again. The person I married is someone I met in a completely unrelated place, and he really cares about me. My new parents-in-law also adore me, and I love them dearly. Finally, I might be able to find true happiness. I sincerely hope that nothing like that ever happens again.